tutors, mentors, and the city with your host.com.
The City Tutors presents
Tutors, mentors, and the city
with your host.com.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Kevin.com Brown, and welcome to Tutors, Mentors, and the City. And please help me in joining our guest for this episode, Mr. Marc Cantone. Yay! Marc,
thank you, Kevin. That's a wonderful introduction. I appreciate that.
So, Marc, you ready for the first question?
Yes, sir.
Who are you, Marc?
Well, I'm Marc Cantone. I am a children's TV media maker. I work at Nickelodeon. I am very passionate about city tutors. And so, I make kids stuff. I like to work with people and helping them figure out what they're doing with their careers. And I drink a lot of Canada Dry. Can we get some product placement for that?
Hey, that would be great. That would be great. Is that seltzer water?
Yes, it is. I got empties. I love seltzer. I used to not like it. It really weirded me out, but now it's one of my favorite things to drink.
I don't get it. What is the deal?
It's refreshing. It's bubbly. You can also get some flavored seltzer, which is pretty good as well.
Yeah, that's called soda, Marc. It's called soda.
That's true. That is soda. And yeah, the flavored seltzer, the soda, there's the soda, and then there's like the lightly flavored, which is healthier, supposedly healthier. I love it, but I do know it's not for everyone.
Well, Marc, so lately I've been stuck on people's names when I do my interviews.
I've noticed that.
Yes. So your name is Cantone. Now, the only time I've heard that name was the famous Mario Cantone, right?
Yes, no relation. I ran into him one time on 14th Street, and I said, "Hey, we got the same name." He didn't really seem to care all that much, and I just kept walking. But yeah, we do have a very similar name.
And this is an Italian name?
It's an Italian name from the old country, and from what I understand, it means corner. So in Italy, you'll often find corner stores with the name Cantone, from what I hear.
Okay, copy that. Now, you said something right up top that's fascinating. You said you work for Nickelodeon. That is so impressive. What do you do at Nickelodeon? So
at Nickelodeon, I run the team that makes all of Nickelodeon's preschool YouTube content, all English American YouTube content. So we have a lot of fun. We make a ton of videos, and I love working in preschool space because it's really silly, it's really cute, and you're also being educational, which is something that is important when you're trying to connect with young kids. You try to give them messages of empathy and patience and kindness, and also learning how to count and things like that. So, we're still trying to be fun and entertaining, but there's a little bit of goodness in there when you're making stuff for the little ones.
Oh, that's incredible. So who becomes aware of the content? Like, is this targeted to the parents to play for their preschool kids, or?
Yeah, the content itself is targeted to the kids, but often because the children are so young, they're preschoolers, the parents will set up, will give them an iPad or a tablet and or a phone, and they'll give them a video to watch. But once the kid gets the tablet or the phone, it's pretty much up to the kid at that point. And so it's up to us to make the content really engaging and really fun so that they want to keep watching what we make and clicking on the next video that we make and the next one. So it's the parents set it up, but then the kids have the agency to start tapping, and they know it. I mean, you see on the subway, it's like you see kids with phones watching, scrolling through on FaceTime. I mean, they do everything. So it's really made for the kids, but we also want to make sure that the parents know that they can trust what we make and that it's safe for their kids, which because some content on YouTube isn't really all that safe. So we try to pride ourselves on making the content that's safe and educational, but still really fun and features the characters that, the kids love. Paw Patrol and Dora and Blaze. And I don't know if you know any of these names that I'm saying.
I know every one of them.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I do, yes. Okay. So you said you had the team. How many people's on your team?
We got a bunch of people. I mean, since the pandemic, we almost tripled in size. We have about probably about 20 people on the team now, and it's made up of like writers, producers, editors, animators, designers, and we're a pretty scrappy team. You know, we make about 60 plus videos a month across 5 or 6, soon to be 6 channels. So we have a lot of stuff to make, and we just do it really fast, and we have a lot of fun doing it. As you can imagine, when you're making, silly little videos, I mean, it's incredible. I get paid to make cute, silly videos for preschoolers. I mean, that's a pretty good job. So I'm very, very fortunate.
I tell you, that was going to be my next question. And they pay you for this? That's what
that's what I say. Whenever the team meets and we talk, it's always, everyone's always like, "Can't believe we get paid to do this." And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty great. I mean, it's still work. It's still, can be stressful, as all jobs can be, but it is, at the end of the day, we're making cute videos for kids.
That is cool. How do you know if a kid doesn't like your video?
Well, fortunately on YouTube, we have access to YouTube analytics. So we can go deep into the analytics of how kids watch the content. And so you can see when the kid drops off, when they click out of the video. You can see when their attention is spiked, because they'll rewind and we'll say, oh, they really wanted to see more of that. So we get to learn about what the kids like by how much they watch of it, what they rewind, when they stop watching. So we can kind of use all that data to help us inform the other videos we make.
So what sort of training do you have to get this amazing position that you have?
You have to be media savvy. You have to know how to, it's basically like a job. Like what I do, I'm on the creative and the production side. So what my team and I do, we make the stuff. And a lot of those people that do that have like a film or TV background. So we have a lot of like people that used to be in film school, and filmmakers and editors and stuff. So it's like, you have to have that skill. And then you also have to be really silly. I mean, you got to be, I mean, we joke around so much. It's a really fun environment to work in. So it's like, you got to have the technical skill, but then you have to have a little bit of a playful, childlike mentality, because, if we're not having fun making this stuff, then kids are perceptive, and they're going to be like, and they're going to pick up on that. So it's like, if we're not having fun doing it, the content's not going to be fun. So we try to just make our work itself fun, because that'll transfer over to what the kids watch.
Okay, so you guys make it, and then you send it to somebody, and then they like proof it and then decide we can post this, or do y'all make it and make that decision?
We basically make it and make the decision. We have to share it with the legal team, and we have to share it with the people who run the shows to make sure that because the content we make is all based off of the shows that are already on the air. So we make content for Paw Patrol, for Blaze, for Dora, for the Bubble Guppies, for Blue's Clues and You. I mean, the list goes on. It's crazy that I know all these names, and I don't have kids, but yeah. So we have to get it approved by the stakeholders, but and legal, but generally everyone pretty much is approved what we make, and we get it up onto the internet really fast. And it's a constant churn. We have stuff that's in pre-production and in production and post-production. We're developing stuff for later in the year. We're developing stuff for next year. So it's this whole machine that's constantly churning out content.
As you were talking, you reminded me of the commercial. I just saw it like a couple of days ago where dude says, Blase, where's Blase? Blase, are you here? And Ron.
Oh, no, that's a brilliant promo for Paramount Plus. It's so funny. When I saw that, I messaged the team that made it. I said, this is incredible.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah. Okay, so let's rewind. Let's go back to see what environment created this guy, Marc Cantone, one of the luckiest guys in the world that gets paid to do stuff that, a lot of people just sitting around doing this for fun, and you get paid to do it. So let's go back. Where are you from?
I'm from right outside Atlantic City in New Jersey, a little town called Absecon.
Yeah, that's how you say it?
Absecon, yeah. Some people say Absecon, but the locals call it Absecon.
Listen, there was a time when the World Poker Tour came around, was first created when the whole online poker explosion took place, or the Texas Hold'em explosion took place. And I lived in Atlantic City. And I was going up there thinking I was going to be a poker star. And I've driven by that town 30 million times. And I've seen the sign 1 billion times. And I called it Absicon. I've never actually met anybody from there. I've never heard anybody say the word before.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how many people know the name just because going to Atlantic City, driving by and seeing it. But yeah, that's where I'm from. So my dad's in the casino entertainment business. So I grew up in the casino showrooms and being around entertainers and comedians. And that's kind of what got me wanting to be in the entertainment field in general. So I grew up around the showrooms and things and the casinos. So that's kind of like how I got into wanting to be in the entertainment sphere.
Well, I got to ask you this, because meeting someone from, how did you say it? Absecon?
Absecon. Yes, you're a pro already. You're local.
Yes, I am. Because I've never met anybody from there. So when we drive through that town, I don't know. Do y'all have 2-story buildings there? Is that allowed in Absecon?
I mean, I haven't been there in a while, but yeah, there are 2-story buildings with shopping centers, and a Dairy Queen. I worked at the Dairy Queen when I was growing up, and I got fired from the Dairy Queen. A little dispute with some of my, the coworkers I had. No, it was just really silly. I kind of goofed off a little bit, and the guy was really nice. He's like, "It's not working out." And I said, "Yeah, I know." And then whenever I'd go back, I'd always ask him if he wanted me to, to get behind the counter again. But yeah, no, yeah. So there's the Dairy Queen, pizza place and stuff. It's a nice little town. It was a really nice little town to grow up in. It was weird. We had like a local, not like a corner store, like a little like 5 and dime or something. And we had a tab. It was like the 50s. We had a tab where it's like you put it on our tab, and then we go and my dad would pay it at the end of the month or something. It's weird, but
that is so hilarious, man. Because I feel a familiarity, and when you mentioned the Dairy Queen, all I'm thinking is the Great Dairy Queen incident that took place Did that make the papers? The Dairy Queen incident?
No, it didn't. It didn't make the papers, but it was definitely the little joke around town for a little bit. I was 15 years old. What do I know?
Yeah,
but then I got to be an usher in a movie theater. So at the local movie theater, I went from Dairy Queen to working in the movies.
Oh man, you had the life. You lived the life. So what was it like going to school in a town like Absecon?
It's what you expect. Really small. People don't think of New Jersey as being rural, but it's like super, super rural. It was just woods and the Jersey Devil, and it's have you ever heard of the Jersey Devil?
Is that other than the hockey team, or? Yeah,
so that's there's an old legend about the Jersey Devil, about this this woman gave birth to this beast and he escaped, and so that's the myth of the Jersey Devil, and supposedly it happened where near we live. So as kids, whenever you're going around in the woods and you see an abandoned shack or something, or like a shed, everyone's always like, "That's the Jersey Devil's house." And so that's the kind of thing. It's like New Jersey's not, exit 18 on the turnpike. Everyone thinks that's like New Jersey, just like refineries and highways, but it's actually a very beautiful, beautiful state. I don't live there anymore, but fondness for it.
Okay, so help me out. So say you're a first grader in Absecon. Is it the same? Was your class structure the same? 20 kids from first grade to 12th grade? What was that experience like?
No. I mean, it wasn't like Little House on the Prairie. We had you had K through 3rd grade, and then we had 4th through 8th grade, and then I went to another high school. So it was it was a real thing. It wasn't tiny. We'd have to fetch water or anything.
I'm literally thinking Little House on the Prairie. Okay, because that's what the town. I drove through the town 10,000 times, but okay. You go to high school. You graduate from high school. I'm not going to tease Abseeking anymore.
Yeah.
Graduate from high school, and then you do what?
I go to the University of the Arts in Philadelphia to study screenwriting. And I was there for 4 years and really learned how to write screenplays. And that's kind of what I wanted to do when I graduated. Actually, what I wanted to do was graduate is I wanted to be a stand-up comedian when I was growing up. And because I grew up around all these comedians, at the casinos. For some reason, I got into documentary films. I wrote a little bit. I wrote for a show on Nick at Night, an animated show. But then I wanted to do documentaries, and this kind of like all these like different little career paths I took kind of lead me to where I am now. But I wanted to do documentaries. I wanted to do comedy. I had a band and I wrote music. I wanted to be in a band, and I also wanted to be a screenwriter. So I did a little bit of all of these things. And through the course of doing all that, I learned a lot of skills that I use today, like how to budget a shoot and how to hire a crew and how to write a screenplay and how to edit and how to shoot video and film. So it's all these little things that I've learned throughout the years that sometimes I wonder, and I talk about this when I in like mentorship sessions and things, like, should I have just focused on one thing? Should I just focus on being a writer? And maybe I should have. But for some people, it's okay to do a lot of different things because that's how you learn a lot. You meet a lot of people, and that's how you find out what you want to do. So it's like there's nothing wrong with not knowing what you want to do and following it like laser focused, because your paths go everywhere. And so somebody just said to me, I met with this kid and he's like, I feel like I'm already too late to the game. I'm like, how old are you? He's like, I'm 23. I'm like, no, man, you're good. But so I feel like all these like different things that I've learned over the years from just following different interests kind of made me like the well-rounded producer that I am. So
okay, and you said what was the name of the school again?
The University of the Arts.
University of the Arts. Okay, in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not a far trip from.
No, I don't like to go too far from home. I'm not a big traveler, so I went to Philly and then New York. And that's kind of pretty much that triangle is where I've been. I was in New York for a while, and then the way I got into kids TV was I got a job working for this network called Sprout that was based out of Philadelphia. And Sprout was a really awesome network. And the reason I got the job was because not many people were willing to move to Philly. So I didn't have any kids experience. I wrote a song for the United Way of Philadelphia a long time ago that I made a music video for, and they liked that. But I was in the city. I had actually just finished shooting the pilot for Impractical Jokers. And those guys are my buddies. And I had shot a bunch of pilots for them. And the day after I accepted the job to move to Philly, James, one of the guys, called me. He's like, we just sold the show. Do you want to work on it? And I was like, I don't know. I was making like $100 a day at that point. And like, it's not that much money. And I just got a real job for the first time ever. And so I said no. And I moved to Philly, and then it became like one of the biggest shows ever. But I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad about it. I still love those guys. And I'm glad I really love working in kids. So went down to Philly, but this is going to tie it in with you. Right when I got down to Philly, Sprout became part of the NBC Universal cable portfolio. And within 2 years, I moved to back to New York, and was working out of 30 Rock for a while.
Okay.
That's how it comes back to you.
Okay. Well, welcome to the team. Welcome to the family. My siblings love Impractical Jokers. Like, I've never watched an episode. For some reason, they asked me to watch, they begged me to watch. I've just never watched it. But they love, Kev, you got to watch it. The show's hilarious. They get funnier every season and da-da-da-da. Yeah. So big ups to your buddies.
Man, they crushed it. They're really incredible. Yeah, just the way, the choice that I made. And that's the other thing. Oh man, should I have taken that job? But I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's fine. That's fine. I did a show for Nickelodeon. Sherry Shepherd had a stand-up comedy show called Nick Moms.
Oh yeah.
and I did a set. I performed on that show. This is
Yeah.
some years ago before she got her big TV show now.
Nick Mom was a big thing for a while. That was before I worked there. But yeah, that was a real thing.
Okay, so when you were going to college, and while you were considering your career in stand-up comedy and such, what did you do for fun?
In college?
In college, pre-college, were you an athlete?
I was very, very boring. I stayed in. I wasn't very adventurous as a kid or as an adult actually. But I played sports a little bit. But then went in high school. I played baseball up until sophomore year of high school, and then I got kicked off the team because I had a band, and I went to band practice instead of going to the baseball team. And so music was like a big thing for me in high school. That was like my big thing.
Okay, so far you've exposed at least two incidents where you were a rabble rouser. You had the famous Dairy Queen incident and the and the famous kicked out the band.
I never thought of myself, but now that you mention it, yeah, I was kind of badass.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But you seem like a great guy. You seem like a likable guy. So you finish your college experience, and now you have some decisions to make. What did you decide to do?
Well, I stayed around Philly for one more year because I had a girlfriend who was in college and she finished. And pretty much after when she graduated in 2002, I think, we moved up to the city, up to Brooklyn, to Park Slope. And we were there for a little while, and then we broke up, and that's why I went to the city, and I was to move with her and like to do comedy, and it didn't really work out. Probably for the best. But
I'm sorry.
I went after graduating college. I went to New York after a year or so, and pretty much has been there since. Then I did a little stint in Philly for Sprout, but that was on and off. I've been in the city. I'm actually not in the city anymore. In the pandemic, I left and moved out to the North Fork of Long Island, which is way far out, almost as far out as you can go. So it's a bit of a hike to get into the city these days. Yeah, so I'm all the way out.
Listen, I've driven to the Hamptons a couple of times, and that there's this bridge or something, this road where you can't pass the person in front of you. It's like,
yeah, there's a bunch of those.
That is crazy. And I think we were going on a fishing trip. So we went all the way to the end. And the guy in front of us was driving slow, and the boat was leaving soon.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Couldn't pass this guy.
That's really frustrating out here. Yeah, they have roads like that out here and in the Hamptons. So you went all the way out to Montauk, probably.
Yeah, that's where it was. Okay. All right. So what took you out there? What was that? You had a fishing dream?
No, I during the pandemic, I have family out here, and the pandemic happened, and I was in the city with my girlfriend, and I thought it was like the apocalypse was going to happen. It was like no one knew what was going to happen, so we just came out here to ride it out, and kept riding it out until our whole work world changed to being more remote, and so by that point, I'm in my 40s now, so I was like, I'm tired of living in a small little apartment in this city. And like, I like the space out here. So I decided to hang around.
What present a scenario to you? Cause I speak to I mentor a lot of groups of young guys. Right. And at my college, this might be typical through college, but I'm very politically active at my college. I'm actually the president of the grad student government at my school.
Oh, awesome.
Yes. And what we are finding at the city universities in New York are our retention levels are horrible, right? Mm-hmm. Particularly with males. Males make a decision to go to college, but they'll easily make the decision to drop out, take a semester off, transfer, whatever. But when women make a decision to go to college, they go and they finish, right? So you made decisions in your life journey, and you factored in the relationship. What's your take on that scenario? As far as a young man sacrificing opportunities. This is, city tutors, city mentors, the stories you tell. And one of the reasons we do these interviews is because when young people see someone like you and they see you have a dream job, they're paying you to do something that you would do for fun, right? But then you're getting paid, and they're hearing about your journey, and you come from a small town outside of Atlantic City and whatever, and you might have gone the same path that a lot of young people are going through right now. So these conversations are a real life illustration, because young people may not know the obstacles. They just assume, he had everything easy. He had no challenges. He had no whatever. He's probably from the big city and his parents are super rich and they got him a job at Nickelodeon. Who knows what these, young people are thinking. But I say all that to tie it into the tutoring and mentorship. What's your take on a young man? I'm going to do the young man version. You said you were in the relationship. You stuck around for a year, then to move to the city with the young lady, and y'all broke up. What's your take? If you had a chance to do that over again, would you do it that way?
Probably not, but you're right though. When you're a young person and you're in love, you make those sacrifices, but it should be a decision that you make with your partner, and that your partner, if they really care about you, would probably not want you to miss out on an important opportunity like that. It's kind of a conversation that needs to be had, and hopefully the person would see the value in you not turning down an opportunity that doesn't come along often.
Now, that being said, knowing what you know now, you get an offer to get a full ride to college, to do what you love. You're in a relationship with that woman you love. Would you turn it down for her?
No. You would say, if the relationship's strong, we're going to make it work. However, but I got to look out for my future. And
now, go ahead.
No, that's the advice that's what I would offer. And like you said, the tough decisions that need to be made. Guys like me often would make the decision that would be better for the woman than for me, because that's the kind of person I am, and that might not be the best decision to make in the long term.
Now that being said, like I said, you and I have the luxury of hindsight. We have the luxury of we've been there, done that. How can a young person maneuver facing that moment? I'm 22. I'm in love. This is my first big love, and as an adult, and I get this opportunity. How can I maneuver through that moment? What if your mentee, forget that I was going to say if they call you for the advice, but you already told me what you'd say. But how can they maneuver through that on their own?
I think they should seek the advice of older people who've been through it and done it and listen to it. I've heard so many times from people about, specifically about relationships, that you have to remember that there's going to be a lot of relationships in your life. Maybe this is the one, but it might not be. And you don't want to put your own life on hold for something that may or may not work. But, you'll at the same time, you want to be fair to the other person. So yeah, that is a tricky situation. But I feel like I said, if it's something that can be discussed with the other person and they really care about the other person, then I feel like they would make a decision that would be best for both people. But I don't envy that decision. That having to make that decision, because it's tough. But yeah, honestly, it's like, you have a lot of relationships in your life, and that's something when you're that age, you don't think that. You don't think it's going to be like that. But for most people, that's just like your first big relationship, but then you go on to other ones, and you learn. And the more relationships you have, the better you get at it, or the worse you get at it in some cases. But
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough. It's tough for good guys. Good guys have it so tough.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, there's a balance between being selfish, but also looking out for your well-being. And I think that's something that good guys have trouble with. For me, I have trouble not looking out for my own self-interest. So that's something that you got to work on. You got to learn.
Yeah, and again, this is real life advice that young guys really need to hear, because when you face it, you don't know, you have no idea, right? And again, the society's changed so much. I was actually doing an event earlier today. It was a thing with Leonard Marshall, former Giant. I was hosting an event, and there were young football players there. Young football players. The society has changed, technology has changed. So, like, the last question somebody asked Leonard Marshall was about the CTE, the concussion, protocol thing that retired football players are actually living with. They're living with the consequences of those actions that won them Super Bowls, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. They're living with those consequences. But the other thing is, what happens when you are great at something and you find success and you make a lot of money or whatever, and the choices you make, it's a whole thing. So I don't, it's not my intention to belabor this, but this is something that young people are really facing, and it's a real conversation. It's a real issue. And it's not bitterness that's speaking. It's just, I want to be the best mentor. These mentees are calling you, and they want your best advice, right?
Yeah, and that's sometimes you got to make those hard choices, and I think the hard choices are tough to make, especially when you're a good guy. So yeah, that's real.
Yeah. So okay. So did you? I don't know if you broke this down. Like when I transitioned, because I went back to school, I got my bachelor's degree a year ago, or maybe 2021.
Awesome.
Yes, because I had dropped out back in the days. I went back, got my bachelor's, loved what I was learning, and went for my master's. But they have these professional development things now. Everything's professional development. Upgrade your resume, learn how to write a cover letter, sit with a expert and help them workshop your presentation. Go on Indeed, submit a profile type thing. Mm-hmm. To get this gig, where did someone that just tap you and say you'd be great for this? Did you have to go through the resume job search thing?
No, I mean, and this is probably one of the reasons why I wanted. I was talking to Gary about like why I want to help do mentorships like this. I do also mentorships with some other organizations, and it's because most of this, at least the business that I'm in, is all about people and if you don't know anybody, you can't go anywhere. So I've been very fortunate in my life and career that I've known a lot of really great people who helped me along the way. This job I got at Nickelodeon, I was recommended for, and I knew the person from before because I did an informational with that person. So that comes back to another thing. It's just meeting as many people as possible. The woman who hired me, I had met years ago and had an informational meeting with her, not about asking for a job, just finding out what she does. And then when this job came up, she remembered me. So a lot of it is just meeting as many people as possible, so that you can continue just constantly expanding your network of people that because it's all about who and timing. So that's why I do this, because if you don't know people, it's very, very hard to get in somewhere. You have to be good and you have to have talent, but you need to have the luck of timing and also being fortunate enough to know people. And so that's why when I mentor people or meet young people, I'm always introducing them to other people, because those other people can introduce them to somebody else and they can introduce them. So it's this I don't know, spider web or something, some type of thing that goes out, and so it's just the more people that and if the timing works out, that's when knowing people and timing. And when those two things collide, that's when opportunities happen. So that's why I do this, because I've been so fortunate to have so many great people help open doors for me.
Yes, paying forward. That's great. All right. So we talked about a lot of things. And I really appreciate your time. I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate you joining me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, out of all the things we talked about, what did we leave out?
Sophie. We left Sophie out of it. This is my dog, Sophie. She's a very good dog. She loves to give kisses. So that's probably it. I mean, that's leaving Sophie, but now Sophie made an appearance. So
Sophie, what is that? A house coat? What is that? A sweater? What's Sophie wearing?
She's got a hoodie. She's got a hoodie on.
Yeah, so y'all planning to go out now? She's dressed to go out, telling you to hurry up? What's happening?
No, she wants to go out to get something to eat, hit up the outlets, get some new get some deals. No, it's still a little chilly out, so she has her sweatshirt on.
Nice. Okay. I can relate to Sophie. Okay, so I can sometimes close with this question, but you may have answered it. But what's the best advice you have to offer a young person?
The best advice is to meet as many people as possible with the curiosity, going in with the curiosity, not going in with what can you do for me, more about I want to learn about you. And just being easygoing, friendly. I always say that I'd rather work with somebody who's good and really fun and easy to work with than someone who's a genius but a jerk. Any day of the week, I'd rather work with somebody who's good at their job, but also just really fun and enjoyable to be around. Because if you're in the trenches with somebody every day, you don't want to be dealing with someone who's got a bad attitude, even no matter how great they are. So for me, I always just say, meet as many people as possible. Try to, be as easygoing and as easy to work with as possible. And just when you meet people, meet them with curiosity, not with asking for what they can do for you. So that's probably what I would say.
Yeah, that's very cool. I think that's one for the books right there. I think that's one for the books. I appreciate that answer. And I appreciate you, man. I appreciate your time. You dropped some jewels. You work for Nickelodeon. You probably have one of the top coolest jobs, ever of all the people I've interviewed. You probably have one of the top coolest jobs. But yeah.
Thank you. I mean, you've had some really awesome jobs as well, and it's really awesome to meet you because I've been watching you for years. So that's pretty darn cool too. So thank you for taking the time to talk with me.